I realized I had one more story,
Uh,
one more news story that tied into Deadpool and Wolverine, and that was the movie was there was a no, we don't need it. We don't need it. We don't need it. It's fine. It's fine. Um, right before that, when that original Super Bowl trailer came out, right before it did, I don't know if you know this, you probably don't, but there was a list of names that leaked that that Marvel had like trademarked or whatever, and one of the names on that list was Deadpool and Wolverine, and one of the other ones was Deadpool and Friend. Well, apparently that was the original name for the movie, and the name leaked, and everyone shat all over Deadpool and Friend, so it became Deadpool and Wolverine, which is an objectively better name.
I mean, it is, but also I think Deadpool and Friend would have been really good, and you had absolutely no knowledge that Hugh Jackman was going to be in it. Like, you don't make any of the logos or anything have anything
I mean,
Wolverine in it, and then
yeah.
you show up, and you see him there, and you're like, what? It would
I
have been really cool.
I get what you're saying, but also the marketing of this movie has been very. Everyone knew the marketing of this movie was going to be strong, and it has been, and it was going to live or die on Wolverine, like him in the suit, and this movie knows that. This movie knows that. So anyway, I thought that was really funny. Um, and yeah. So John, what did you think about Deadpool and
So
Wolverine? Let's
I
just.
Life is a mystery.
I don't know anything about saving worlds, but you do.
I
Let's just jump into this. You first.
I realized I didn't ask this about the second one. Did you need to have seen it to have watched this movie?
This movie tries to convince you that you don't, but you do. There's a lot. There's like there's a lot of sort of payoff to like the fracture in him and Vanessa's relationship with them, which the movie wants to do, but clearly realizes you're not interested in. Um, and but so doesn't do it. So then it feels kind of hollow at the end. We'll get there when we hit the spoiler section. So Jordan, quick, rapid fire, non-spoiler thoughts in a sentence or less. What did you think of Deadpool and Wolverine?
I think it's very good. I think it knows that you want it to wear the hat. It wears the hat with pride. And gives the people what they want.
Yeah, I so okay in a sentence or less, very much. I saw someone say that yeah, it's very much a movie where if you want the guy to wear the hat and say the thing, this is what that is. And
The monkey, the monkey is dancing for you.
right, yeah, and it's like sometimes that's what you need. You just need a movie where it's hey, that's the thing, and sometimes you just need that. And yeah, I needed that, and it scratched my itch for that. Um, the thing I think people kind of forgot, and I understand why they forgot it, is they forgot this was a Deadpool movie, and that Deadpool movies are not complicated. And this movie remembered that. So this movie is very simple to its strength, and I think that's why it works. Is where you're like, oh, it's really is just a much larger version of that first movie. And I think that's why it works for me. Like everything about this movie is simple. Like it takes place mostly in one location, um, maybe two locations, and it's just a bunch of tight action sequences. And that's why that first one is it really works in my opinion.
So without spoiling, before we get into the
So
spoiler
still
section,
no spoilers, no spoilers. Keep it general.
here's the question. Here's the question that I know that all the fans want you and you specifically to answer, Justin. Does this save the MCU?
Ha! No. No, okay. I'm not the person who I don't think the MCU needed saving. I think the MCU has hit a point culturally where now it will just ebb and flow. I think it's just you're gonna have to it's gonna be a piece by piece kind of thing where you're gonna be like, oh, do you like this one or do you not like this one? Does this one work for you or does it not work for you? And this is either gonna work for you or it's not gonna work for you. It requires you to be a certain type of fan of this material. And if you're not, it's probably not gonna work for you. Is what I would say. Like if you say to me, I don't like this, I would understand. I would get it. I just happen to be the target audience. Is how I would put
I
it.
won't because I'm the target audience, and if you don't like the thing that I like, then you must be lynched.
You must be lynched. Yeah, you're bad. You're awful. But no,
You're
like,
bad, and you should feel bad.
I saw some criticisms where I was like, no, they're fair. They're totally fair. But my argument would be for because there's people out there who are disappointed this wasn't more, and it was never gonna be more. And I caught myself reminding myself of that throughout the marketing of this, being like, no, this isn't gonna be like. It's a comedy. It's here to make fun of this stuff. It's not going to sincerely and earnestly have moved the MCU forward in any significant way. It's Deadpool.
Here's what I'll say. It was everything I thought it was going to be. It was everything I wanted it to be. And I walked away satisfied.
Yeah, this is less of a... If you're going into this expecting this to be... I don't know how to put this. This is less of an MCU movie. Or maybe you'll agree or disagree with this sentiment. But it's more of a parody of an MCU movie than it is an MCU movie. Like, it has a lot of big ideas, but it's making fun of the idea of having big ideas. And ultimately doing nothing with them.
It's trying to do what to bring it back to She-Hulk. It's trying to do what She-Hulk did, where it makes fun of the fact that these MCU movies, like, it's poking fun at the MCU formula.
Yeah, exactly.
I just think it does it better.
That's where, yeah, exactly. So that's where you're like, oh, this is Deadpool in the Marvel machine. I disagree. I think it's counterculture. No, I hate the term. I don't think it's counterculture. I started to say that. I was like, no. But I definitely think it's taking the piss out of the Marvel machine, because this feels like a parody of the Marvel machine. Like, maybe it's not intentional. Maybe it is earnest and sincere. But because it's Deadpool, it doesn't feel that way to me. And that's why it works for me.
When I say, in this instance, when I say it's Deadpool in the Marvel machine, I more mean that literally. It's literally like, I mean it more like it's literally like Deadpool is in poking fun at it, making fun of it, like pointing out all the things that make the Marvel machine what it is. It is literally. Oh, you've cut out.
Hold on.
Are you still there?
I'm still here. Jordan actually is frozen this time. Just give it a minute for him to catch back up.
He'll come back.
He also will come back. Oh, he always comes back. He's like that guy.
Are you there?
From that game. I'm just gonna keep talking until he catches
up.
He'll hear me eventually. He always does.
Hello? Hello? Hello?
I think this is just gonna become a recurring bit now.
Hello?
Because I don't edit.
Hello? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Hello?
I can hear you.
You can hear me now?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Can you hear me now?
I can always hear you.
Okay, I can hear you.
See, the thing is, Jordan, I can always hear you. It's whether you can hear me. Whenever you're like, can you hear me? I can hear you.
I was just midpoint and then you disappeared.
Yeah, no, I can hear you. You don't disappear.
Which is why I know you're the problem.
So maybe, okay. Like,
where was I?
We on air troubleshoot.
Oh, yeah.
So when that happens, if I cut out, just give it. I don't know how else to do it because like from the audience's perspective, they can still hear me. They can't hear they can hear you. So yeah, it's very weird. Anyway, back to your point.
My point was more just that, like, it feels like, literally Deadpool is in the MCU, making fun of it, poking fun at it, working the machine like it's a puppet.
But it was never gonna do anything like major.
Whereas Deadpool 2 feels more like okay, so I guess this is the way that I would put it. Deadpool 1 feels like it's Deadpool striking out on his own in his own movie, and it's him doing his own thing. Yeah. Deadpool 2 feels like his roots are growing into the Fox universe, and it feels more like a Fox cinematic movie thing, and he's like Foxified. And then Deadpool 3 feels like Deadpool has gotten his hands on the MCU puppetry, as it were, and he can make his movie as if it were an MCU one, but in a way that it's making fun of it. And to me, that's the three distinct things. And so the reason why the Deadpool 2 is always going to be the weakest of the three is because it leans too far into that Fox movie
Yeah.
universe.
See,
And that Fox movie universe isn't generally good.
so here's the thing. I sort of agree with what you're saying, but I would say more like for me, in terms of I think I've kind of already said this, but that first one very much it feels like that's a parody or that satire of those original 2000s X-Men where they're bare bones, they're simple, they're easy. And then that second one feels like they're trying to be the MCU. They're trying to be like, oh, Deadpool can be earnest and sincere and be like do the like the action stuff and like be a Marvel movie, but still do the fourth wall breaky stuff. Whereas this feels like it's making fun of the Marvel stuff, and like when every time it gets overly yeah, I get the criticism where it's like yeah, it's really expository and it's like characters explaining shit, and it's like if you're not really familiar with the Marvel stuff, it could be confusing. But it feels deliberate. And maybe it's not, and maybe it is earnest, but it feels deliberate, and I think that's to the movie's credit. I think it for me that stuff works.
So, okay, I think it's time. I think we have to tell people the earmuffs.
Oh yeah, so well, I'm just trying to think. Was there anything else I wanted to say that's non-spoiler before we get into the spoilers?
I want to talk about details.
Yeah. No. Don't worry. I know you're frothing. I'm just trying to think if there was any other point I wanted to make that we could say is no. Oh, it's look, man. The action. I said this when that opening those opening credits are phenomenal. I truly do want to rewatch this movie just so I could see them from the beginning and not have them not be blurry as fuck.
Yeah, we had some technical difficulties.
It's good. It's good. Like it's well directed. It's well choreographed.
So,
it's funny. It's bloody. This might be the bloodiest Deadpool movie, certainly.
Is this giving us doing spoilers? Have we given them ample warning to go and?
No. I guess the point I wanted to make was I said this about Sean Levy when I did the Adam project on the show. I love how he shoots action sequences. And I love how there's a couple which we're gonna get to, which are a little hinky because they're trying to hide some stuff. But for the most part, like everything in this movie looks fucking clean. It looks beautiful. It looks bloody. You see everything. But yeah,
it's so good.
It's quite good. But yeah, no, yeah. Anyone, I get. There was one more criticism that someone made. I wanted to say. I was trying to stall to see if I could remember what it was, but I'm drawing a blank. But
there are no criticisms. This movie is Deadpool Jesus.
Marvel Jesus. Yeah, I guess that's it. I'm sure it'll come to me when we go through the spoilers. But yeah, earmuffs. If you haven't seen this movie, earmuffs. Leave us on in the background. I'm not going to leave the earmuffs up the whole time because that would look very silly. But when you see me do this, that's when you can come back. You can unmute us then, and then we're going to talk about the X-Men movies. Okay? So from now until you see me do this, Jordan, actually, Jordan, let's do it together. Let's do it together. Stop that.
That's your spoiler. That's your spoiler alarm.
Do it with me. Stop making that noise. And when we see me and Jordan, stop. So you can hear the instructions. When you see me and Jordan do this, you may rejoin us, but leave us on in the background. We need the engagement. See, okay, together now. Okay, stop making that noise. Stop it. Thank you.
I'm giving the spoiler alarm.
It's very annoying. So spoilers, yeah. Okay, so let's just jump into it. So where do we want to start? Do we want to just give up all the cameos up front?
I mean, we want to start at the beginning with the like where he's fighting with Logan from Logan, his corpse.
Yeah, I love. Yeah. How do you not desecrate Logan? You don't. That's the answer
You
to
don't.
that. You don't.
You just don't.
You don't.
Like they fully lean into the breaking the fourth wall on this one more than the other two.
Yeah, like it's one of those things where like, yeah, man, I get like I can, hey, look, we jump around, but like they don't really get into this Wolverine's backstory really. Like that's not the point. The point is he's a disaffected
You don't
Wolverine who's
need to.
no, like, and I don't, I could see maybe why you would want that, right? I understand, but that's not the point. The point is that he's a disaffected, angry Wolverine. That's the point. That's all you need. You don't need to get into it's the same thing with Logan. Like,
Well,
nobody
the
criticized
reason
Logan for not like explaining what happened to the X-Men in that movie, so you don't need it here.
the the reason why you don't want like anyone who argues that you need to have his backstory, the reason why I argue that you don't want that is because okay, let's say that you gave him like you were like, oh yeah, it's the one from the X3 universe, like who is different than the Logan one, but he's also different from this version and different from this. And it's like the more you go into the details of what version of Wolverine it is, the more you have to look back at the mess that the X-Men or the Fox X-Men movies are, and the timelines and the Days in Future Past and
Also,
the Logans and the how like all of those, the more it just points out how much of
um,
a mess they are, and it's just
also,
far simpler in this movie's timeline to just be like, yeah, he's just a different one. He has his own backstory, and it's not important to the events of this movie.
no. So do you have me?
No, you're hello?
Give him a minute. He'll catch back up. He'll be back. Give him a minute. He will be back. Give him a minute. Hold that thought. Give it a second.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I
Can you
can
hear me?
I can always hear you. Give it a second.
You can hear me. Okay. Well, I can hear you at the moment. I just can't see you.
Okay. See, the thing is, Jordan, I can always hear you. It's you who can't hear me. Right? So whenever you're like, can you hear me? Yes,
Well,
I can hear you.
right. But when I'm saying, can you hear me? I'm hearing you from like 4 minutes ago. So it's not so much can you hear. It's like it's just have we synced up? Can you hear me? Can I hear you? Just
Yes.
if I'm saying that, just say yes, and then I'll know that you've synced up with me again.
Oh, got it. Okay. Yeah, so the Logan, if Deadpool is from the Logan universe, technically speaking, that is a different universe than the main X-Men movies are from. Well, there was some interview where the director said I don't remember the actual number. It is the number that appears in the Deadpool and Wolverine, but it's like Earth 1005. It's a different timeline than the one from from the other movies. So he's not even
Well, the
from
thing
the
is that
actual X-Men timeline, technically speaking. Then if they're committing
well,
to that, he's from that timeline.
the thing is that the and we're jumping into X-Men stuff here right now, but the X-Men timelines are messy because you have the Days of Future Past one where they're fighting against all the Sentinels, where the world is destroyed. You have the one where at the end of that, where Wolverine has gone back in time and changed stuff, and so his timeline is different, and they're the McAvoy and or not McAvoy, they're the Stewart and the Ian McKellen and all the original guys. But then there's also a different timeline that they created when they went back in time, which is the Apocalypse and Dark Phoenix saga one, or Dark Phoenix one, which has to be a different timeline because things are changed in that. So that cannot be the same one that Wolverine goes back to at the end of Days of Future Past.
Yeah, but
So
the
they've
one
got and then you're saying that Logan is its own one as well. So that means that there's like three different X-Men Fox
I'm
timelines.
pretty sure the implication is that the time or the spot that he goes back to basically at post Days of Future Past that is now the new timeline, and the time that he goes back to at the end of the Days of Future Past, that's what is the end result. But you're right that it does get kind of messy.
No, that can't be possible. It has to have created two. It has to have Legend of Zelda'd it and created two separate timelines. One which he goes back to, and he has the happy ending of the original X-Men, X1, 2, and 3. And then the Apocalypse and Phoenix has to be its own timeline because and we're jumping ahead here. At the end of Dark Phoenix, Jean dies. She becomes like Phoenix and goes off and dies. At which if she is the same version as she is in the original,
yeah, she's in
like
yeah.
no.
But,
and also in Dark Phoenix at the end of it, Professor X retires, Beast takes over the school and is the professor there. Like things are just irrevocably different. Like it can't. They have to be in different timelines.
Interesting. That's jumping ahead. So okay. The point of Wolverine's backstory.
In this movie
doesn't matter because backstories. Yeah, because like again in Deadpool 2, like they don't really get into Cable's back because the backstories and shit. The backstories and shit don't matter. That's the point. I'm just gonna talk my way through this because I'm gonna end up repeating myself anyway. But yeah, the backstories and shit they ultimately don't matter. That's kind
there
of
we
the
go.
point.
You're back.
That's what makes it a Deadpool movie. The backstories don't matter. That's the point. Like that's
No.
the whole point.
They kind of just assume that you know what you need to know.
Yeah.
Which I appreciate.
And I appreciate, but my problem that comes a problem with I have with this movie, which they know what you're there for. You're there for Fraser versus Ali. Like you're there for the title match, right? And they know that. So they want to get you to that right away. So they kind of rush through the emotional stuff, but then they still try to. So I'm like, oh, so they're not doing the emotional stuff. Like they're doing that early on, but then they still try to do it at the end of the movie anyway. But it doesn't work because unlike the other two movies, they've cut out the middle bit. Like usually these movies have a middle bit where it's emotional. Where he's just Wade Wilson, so it kind of balances it out. But here it's like front loaded and back loaded with the emotional stuff, so it's disconnected. Like, and it's for like the better maybe because like the stuff where it's in the wasteland is, if it's mindless and it's fun, and the void, the void. Do we? I guess we got to go through the plot of this because it's new. And
I mean, we don't have to. It depends on how much you want to spoil for stuff.
I suppose
we could go scene by scene if you want to, or we can just jump around and talk about fun cameos, references to things that we like, things we weren't expecting.
I suppose,
like for example, I wasn't expecting to see Johnny.
Hold on. Thought. I was gonna say, I suppose if you're here, you've seen the movie. So yeah, I guess I don't have to go plot beat by plot beat, but yes,
we gave spoiler warnings. We're allowed to give spoilers.
So yeah, the use of I'm sending people to the void or whatever is useful because I was not expecting Chris Evans as Johnny Storm to be in this movie. That blew that.
Well, and what's really funny is they have him show up and they make fun of the fact that you think he's going to be Captain America.
Oh yeah,
and then he takes off the thing and he's like. On and it's like did not see that coming. That completely got me.
Yeah. Like there's a lot more like cameos in this. We're like, oh, the shit, they got the person. Oh shit, like that's pretty good.
Like Elektra, they got Blade, they got like so many.
Borrowing that shit from it's just so funny that you're like, oh yeah, you assume that this is all tied to the ship with the time travel by from the end of the last movie, and it's really not. It's totally unconnected. It just happens to involve
not
the
totally.
Time. No, they do not.
It did put them on their radar.
Yeah, they're like they knew it happened, but they didn't give a shit. It has nothing to do with the plot of this movie. And I think that's kind of funny. It's just they just seem to like. It was just to find a way. It's used as a mechanism to get Wolverine into this movie, and that's purely why it's there.
Can we talk about the can we jump back and talk about the montage with all the different Wolverines?
I mean, yeah, Henry Cavill Wolverine. I'm wondering. I see a lot of people are like, "Oh, is he going to be MCU Wolverine?" I'd be okay if he was. I don't hate it.
I mean, I want it to be Daniel Radcliffe.
I mean, my dream, my honest to God dream casting for that is Taron Egerton. That's my actual fan
I could
casting.
see that too.
Um,
I was hoping that during the montage, I was hoping we were going to see like a Daniel Radcliffe as it, because
well,
in one of the interviews that I saw them doing, they did who do you think would be better in each role, and they were like Hugh Jackman as Harry Potter and Daniel Radcliffe as Wolverine, and neither of them really acknowledged the Daniel Radcliffe as Wolverine. They kept making fun of the Hugh Jackman as Harry Potter. And like we're like, oh yeah, me as in a school full of like 12-year-old kids, I just don't think like I'm gonna beat the crap out of at least one of them. And like they're really making fun of that aspect of it, and kind of shied away from the Daniel Radcliffe as Wolverine thing, which I was kind of hoping was them covering, because like he was gonna maybe make a cameo in this
yeah.
movie as Wolverine,
Well,
and he
the
just didn't. And I
the
was like, oh,
the rumor was that he was going to be Patch.
who?
Patch, the one who he's in the casino.
I don't remember
It's
which
the
character that was.
That's one of the Wolverine variants. He you see him from behind. He walks up. He's wearing the white jacket, and he's like Patch. That's it. That's
Ah, interesting.
a well known. I don't remember. I don't remember why the name Patch, where the name Patch comes from, but he's a well known like variant of Wolverine. That's what he looks like. He looks like that.
Interesting.
But
Interesting.
people thought
So see, this is
that
an
was gonna be
example
Patch.
of clearly there were references in there that I didn't
Oh
get.
yeah, that montage of the Wolverines. There was a couple in there that off the top of my head, I can't remember them, but in the moment I recognized them. Where I was like, oh shit, I recognize that reference.
This movie is funny because this movie kind of just proved to me that I think I know more about Deadpool than I know than I know about Wolverine.
But the use of the void was is a very useful like device for them plot wise because and narratively because yeah it allows them it's like they don't have to explain why because I saw today there was an interview with Chris Evans that was like from a while ago where they were asking him about coming back as Captain America and he was like I would love to come back as Johnny Storm but I'm too old like I'm so much older and this movie kind of gave that convenient excuse of like yeah you don't have to explain or why they're older. He's just a variant that's older. No explanation.
Well,
needed.
I also love it. I love the use of the void in this because it's great in two ways. It's a great meta commentary on how the Fox universe is dead.
Yeah.
Um and like especially when they have the Fox logo
The
there like
21st
in
Century
there.
Fox logo in the background. Yeah, that was funny.
Like it's so funny. And then yeah, no, like you don't have to explain why he's old. I mean, for all we know, he is the movie version, and he's just been in the void long enough that he's old now.
Right. Well, I mean, we don't. To be fair, we don't know how the void works. We don't know if they age in the void or how any of it works. Um,
Well, we do know that they age in the void because Charles Xavier's sister only exist. Oh, you're gone. Hello,
give it a second.
can you hear me?
Yeah, I can put to answer his point. Yes, I guess that's a good point. Yeah, Charles
So you
Xavier
can
is.
you can hear me?
I can hear you. Yes, Charles Xavier is.
Okay, good. Yeah, his sister grew up in the void.
Yeah, I suppose that is true. But yeah, I suppose that's true. Yeah, I suppose that is true. Um,
Um, so we do know that some form of time must happen in the void.
yes, yeah.
Um, but oh yeah, no, there's cameos galore. The fight scenes in it are fantastic.
They
Like they're
are,
very gratuitous and violent.
but um, the fight
No,
sequence,
but
well, the fight sequence where it's they're attacking the fortress and oh yeah, Channing Tatum is as Gambit, phenomenal. He's a very funny,
oh,
very
so
funny
funny.
character. He looks great. All of his shit looks great. Like all of the
Like
action sequence involving him look great. Like yeah, man. The joke here is like this is what you missed basically. Like yes, we could have made this character look
yeah,
good, and yes, we could have done this character on film, and like we never even
um,
had some of us never even had a chance. And I think that's very
yeah,
very funny. Just a hyper competently well
like
shot character.
I want to sing the praises to this film because it's like I laughed a lot, and I like there's a lot in the theater who did. Like this movie is genuinely funny,
Yeah, oh,
and it
yeah.
has some genuinely funny moments. Um, there was a quite a bit of laughter, which considering the movie is a good thing.
Yeah.
Um, but I think the action scenes are great.
Well,
The violence is exactly what I would hope.
but that scene though, where it's him, it's Electra, and it's Blade. That's another incredible one. That to me, this movie reminded me a lot in terms of like, wow, I wasn't expecting that. Um, the closest like contemporary is obviously Multiverse of Madness and that Illuminati scene, where like, oh shit, that's John Krasinski as wasn't expecting them to do the thing. And so Wesley Snipes as Blade is incredible. That's that's like
It's funny. It's funny that you say multiverse of madness because while I do agree with that, I would also say that it's like to bring it back to Spider-Man. It's like No Way Home,
kind
where
of.
like the amount of people that they got to come back for it was remarkable.
I could see why you would say that, but this direct comparison is more like Black Bolt, Anson Mount. Yeah, I think that's his name. Black Bolt in that movie. Being in that movie is absolutely incredible because everybody hated the Inhumans and the show got canceled after one season and nobody watched it. So the fact that Marvel was like, he's a character that people want to see is incredible. Wesley Snipes, he was notoriously difficult to work with. He was apparently awful. Like he would apparently like just straight up not show up on set. Apparently there's huge chunks of the third movie he's just not in because he would like refuse to, and apparently he would like refuse to break character, and like he was just awful. He was an awful person to work with. So the fact that they got him back for this and he was willing to do this is incredible. And yeah, there's just a lot of jokes that are like for like guys like me, like TikTok, guys like us, I guess maybe internet people who like react to movie news. So like there's a bit where Cable's like, I'm the only Cable and I'm the only one there ever will be, which is really funny if you're familiar with Marvel news because you know that they've been struggling to make that Blade
Not
movie.
Cable.
Sorry,
Blade.
Yeah, that you know they've been struggling to make that Blade movie. Um, and so that joke is funny on that basis. That's why it made me laugh because I'm like, yeah, he's right. There never will be another Blade because they can't get a goddamn movie made. There's a couple of jokes that are like that are like aimed at like people who like react to shit like that. And there's another really good example, but it's not coming to me in the moment. I'm hoping it will.
And then when the Deadpool core showed up, and I was like, "Oh my god, can't believe they got the Deadpool core!" And I was like, I recognize some of them, like
that scene is
Kid
really great.
Deadpool and Dog Deadpool, and like so many.
That scene. Sorry to go back to. I keep getting distracted away from the point. That scene where it's Elektra and it's Blade and it's Gambit. It's shot really weirdly and it's really shaky. Like every other sequence involving Deadpool, like including that opening one where he's killing all the guys with Wolverine's corpse. It's fucking great. Is so clean and you see everything and it's so well shot and the stunt doubles like they got some whoever's doing the fighting. I doubt it's Ryan Reynolds, but whoever they have doing the fighting in that suit, it looks phenomenal. But the shit with Elektra and Blade is shot in such a way to hide the fact that they're very definitely old and they're very definitely struggling to do these action sequences and it's just like it's really apparent and it's of the action sequences it's the worst looking, but like by contrast in that sequence Gambit looks phenomenal. Like but yeah, Blade and Elektra, they like everything with them is shot like this, like so like shaky and it just looks bad.
Didn't bother me.
But that having been said, you're right. The Deadpool core. I spoiled the Deadpool pool, the Deadpool core for myself. I saw a trailer and I saw Lady Pool. And it's funny because like you mentioned in previous weeks the Lady in Red being a spoiler for obviously being for Lady Pool.
Yeah, I knew. I had a feeling.
And I think by the time when Dog Pool shows up, I think Nice Pool I'd love to know if Nice Pool is an actual character in the comics. But
Nice pool.
um, he had already mentioned the
When he
Deadpool
uses
core, I think.
when he uses him as a human
Yeah,
shield
he's like the
is
one who
so
doesn't have a
funny.
healing factor. I wasn't gonna lie. I thought the joke was when Peter showed up in the Deadpool costume at the end. I thought that the joke was in the entire multiverse. There was one Deadpool that was Peter for some reason. And I thought
Oh,
that was way
that's
funnier
funny.
to me. I was like, that's so funny. Like in one universe, Deadpool is for some reason Peter. I thought was so, and he was part of the Deadpool core, and he was just this like Ned Flanders reasonable guy. Like, hey guys, we should stop this.
I mean, that would have been funny, but also just the idea that every Deadpool has a Peter is funny to me.
Yeah, my one disappointment with the Deadpool core is that the other Deadpools didn't like break the fourth wall really at all. They were just kind of there for the one sight gag. And don't get me wrong, it is a well shot sequence. Like the fact that it moves side to side like that, it looks really cool. Like this movie will look great in eventual YouTube compilation videos.
I mean, I have to say, I'd watch it again.
I definitely at the back of it was like, yeah, I would like to watch this one more time, at least one more time. You said in theaters. I'm like, I don't know if in theaters, but definitely, like the minute it goes to Disney Plus, I will be watching it because yeah, I do want to rewatch it. Um,
So I guess the question is, do you need to have seen this to have seen this?
yeah, you should watch it. It's pretty good. I did enjoy. Yeah, no, it doesn't set up really. I mean, to anyone who's like, it doesn't set up anything for the future. That's not true. The main TVA lady kind of shows up and is like, yeah, hang tight. Yeah, just in case. You never know. So like,
I mean, I will
they
say
can pop
it is.
in for stuff if they need them to.
It is absolutely. I have to sing its praises. It is a love letter to the Fox movies. It is
Oh, that
absolutely
yeah,
a send off
absolutely yeah.
for Hugh Jackman as Wolverine.
I mean the ending credit montage of the all the bloopers. It's set to time of Your Life by Green Day. It's fucking great. It's great. That's funny.
I'm not gonna lie. It made me feel a little emotional.
It did because I watched all of those movies this week. So I'm like, you know what? Yeah,
I know. I was like,
those are the movies you need to watch to appreciate this. Because yeah, it is. Not even just the Fox X-Men movies, but the Fox superhero movies generally. It's very much like a final send off to them. And yeah, to me, this is like I would say it's more of an epilogue to Logan. Like it's not a sequel. It doesn't take away from Logan, but it's a button to Logan. Where it's like, yeah, if you're like, man,
yeah,
we're gonna talk about Logan, but that movie's a weird bummer. And it's like, yeah, is it fun? Is there a fun novelty seeing Wolverine finally get to slice and dice people with blood? Yeah, but it's just kind of disappointing that it's in a real bummer of a movie that's not really that fun.
Yeah. Which is why it's nice to get to see him do that in this, and it's not as much of a bummer.
Yeah, it's fun. It's fun. It's yeah. Also, there's a really they did the X-23 shows up in this, and then is now in, which doesn't really make any sense. She's now in the Deadpool timeline, which is theoretically her past, because the Logan is the Deadpool universe's future. So
well, technically she was in the void, which means she wasn't in any timeline.
No, but that she's an adult version of X-23, and she says she lived a life, and she's so the implication being is she's X-23 from a further future of the Logan timeline.
Of Logan, yeah.
Yeah. So she is now in Logan timeline's past. So there will be an eventual time where
no, she's not in Logan timeline's past. She's in the void. She's not in.
No,
she's not.
She's at the end. She's with them at the dinner table at the end.
Oh, right. Sorry, this was on Thursday. It's been a couple days.
So now within the context of the MCU, Deadpool and Wolverine are now chilling in the Fox X-Men universe, which is active, is alive. I guess that way the functionality of which being they can utilize that version of Wolverine and Deadpool if they want, but it still allows them to have their own mutants. So the mutants and X-Men in the MCU will not be the Fox mutants. Certainly, they won't just be pulled over. But I have heard theories that they might be doing X-Men versus the Avengers um, for Avengers 5 or 6. Avengers 5, I think, because they're moving away from Kang. And that's audience. I'm talking to the audience. That is a potential idea for X-Men 5. Is they might be doing Avengers versus X-Men, which would make sense because one of the ideas for Avengers 5 is that they might do Avengers versus X-Men. So then that would make sense to have Deadpool and Wolverine lead the X-Men universe side. And that would make sense why they have remained in their own universe.
It could, but they've also set it up in such a way where Deadpool technically already exists in the MCU.
Well, he does, though. That's what's confusing because the opening scene of
I know.
this...
I'm saying he does. He does exist in the MCU, and so I think, yeah, maybe they've left it open for that possibility, but they've also left it open in such a way where, like, you now know there are multiple versions of Deadpool, so they could do Deadpool kills the MCU if they wanted.
I mean, they really could. Because yeah, that's my one criticism. I didn't love that. I don't understand why he was labeled as the 6'2" or 616 Deadpool, and then they gave his storyline to the Fox universe Deadpool, and then the MCU Deadpool never came back. I don't get that. I was like, I'm totally fine with the Deadpool Prime or the main Deadpool being the one from the Fox universe and there being no MCU Deadpool. I'm cool with that. I'm cool with them just kind of being in stasis in their own universe. That's cool.
It feels like there was a deleted scene where basically we had a scene where that 616 one was deleted by Dr. Paradox so that the Marvel one could come and join in the MCU, the Sacred Timeline, and take his place.
I could see that. There are a few moments in this where, yeah, I you know me, I sniff out deleted subplots, and I could sniff some out, and that does feel like one when you say that. Yeah.
Because yeah, like you've listed that the 616 is his own thing. Well, then you can't bring. He tells Deadpool that he can come and join the Sacred Timeline and matter. Well, if 616 is already living on the Sacred Timeline, you can't have our Deadpool come and take his place, unless you've already deleted him.
And then the question is like, because this movie implies that like the Fox universe Deadpool, he had the same meeting with that the Avengers exist in his universe, and that him and the X-Men coexist. The Avengers and the X-Men coexist, and that basically the MCU happened in the Fox universe, but it was just a different. But the X-Men just happened to also be there, and that he also went for that interview with Happy Hogan, and he was rejected for it. And the scene that we saw at the beginning also happened to him, and then he went off and, feeling dejected, went through a rut, and that led him to being at the car dealership, and he broke up with Vanessa. So did the MCU...
Vanessa broke up with him,
right? So, but did the MCU Deadpool go through a similar? That's why yeah, you're right. It does feel like there was like a deleted scene where the MCU Deadpool came back that got cut out. But that opening scene, if I were to be critical about the narrative structure of this, doesn't make any sense, and it doesn't impact the movie in any meaningful way. But again,
it just feels like they wanted to have. It feels like they just wanted to have the scene with Happy Hogan, but they were like, "Well, we can't have him be in the Fox one because he doesn't exist in the Fox one."
Exactly.
Well, just slap 616 on there. We could have that there, and yeah, it just makes it feel a little messy.
Exactly. Yeah, and the only reason why you're applying that level of scrutiny to it is because it's now in the MCU, and I get that, and that's not necessarily fair to Deadpool. And I don't want to take away from the fact that, yeah, obviously I very much enjoyed this movie. I'm sorry, I'm stalling.
Oh, it was great.
I had one more point I wanted to make. Cassandra Cain is great. She's a great villain. She's legitimately unsettlingly terrifying.
When she sticks her fingers into people's faces and heads, and it's like
what she does to Johnny Storm.
Yeah,
I like Paradox.
Like, oh, that's
good.
Violent.
I was disappointed we didn't get to see Owen Wilson. I
mean, he's off riding a Sadoo.
Yeah. Was it? Did we hit all the points we hit the other day after we immediately saw it? I feel like we're missing something. Something we brought up. I'm just rolodexing mentally through all the points we made. I feel like there was one more.
Um, it was fun seeing the villains again.
Villains were fun. Pyro was really fun. I think he has more personality in this movie than he did in the entire original X-Men trilogy. I love. Oh, I
Deadpool
love the.
core.
I love the joke that the Juggernaut is now played by a third completely separate guy. I thought that was funny.
Yeah.
Hugh Jackman is having a ton of fun in this movie, and you can tell.
I think the most fun that he's had is Wolverine in a while.
Once again, to be in our critic
Oh,
sandwich.
I love the when Wolverine or when Deadpool says to Wolverine, "You'll be doing this until you're 90.
That's
Disney
funny.
brought you back."
Yeah. I do like the fact that there is a sort of a story. There's a reason for the suit. Like it's not just kind of gratuitous. It's like there's a reason why he's wearing it. I did enjoy that. Um, Dopinder for some reason doesn't have an accent. I noticed that it was really distracting. He because I've seen the actor who plays him. He doesn't have it. He obviously is an American, so he has a regular. And so in this movie, he no longer has an Indian accent for some reason. I guess him and Shatterstar are dating, and he realized he was gay between movies, which also was odd.
I choose to believe that it's just because it's been like 6 years, 7 years since the last one. I just choose to believe he's been living in America that he just lost the accent.
I mean that's believable. I mean my thing is like it just kind of feels like well, it felt to me in the movie that I thought maybe there was going to be a twist that this Wolverine wasn't the Fox one. He's from like a different universe, and I guess technically he isn't the Fox one. That thing, but I guess just the idea in the Logan universe, the Fox universe like mostly happened. Because I've seen a lot of theories as
Yeah,
to
well,
like
that's
how
where
much of the because they in Logan they referenced the Statue of Liberty. So I watched a video on Logan today where they're like, oh, so then in the Logan universe maybe only the Statue of Liberty happened, like the first X-Men movie happened. Maybe the Phoenix stuff didn't happen.
I mean, that's where I say this version of him is a completely different one than the Fox one because it has to be.
Yeah,
And the Fox one, the Fox universe has to have at least two timelines, maybe three.
yeah. So like the Deadpool from the first two, and it's just maybe just this Deadpool in the Logan timeline also did the time travel Bishop stuff, so he can still reference it, but it's not the same. It's not the same Deadpool. I guess maybe is the idea.
Yeah, I mean they didn't tell us what the universe that the first two Deadpools live or first two Deadpool movies Deadpool lived in, and we don't know the universe number that this one lived in.
Yeah.
So it's multiverse.
Oh no,
You
we
can
do.
explain you can explain away inconsistencies if
Yeah.
you really want
I
to.
was gonna say we do. They do say they say 6 years later on Earth 1005. So they do point out the fact that it's
Right.
two.
But I'm saying what like in the first two movies they don't tell us what his universe name is.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, that's a fair point.
So I'm saying the one that they say at the begin, like for example, the first two movies might have taken place in Universe 5, and this might take place in Universe 6, which is one universe away from 5. It's almost identical, but just different enough that they can have changes and not need to acknowledge them.
True. I would say though that this one reminds me the most. I mean, yeah, I think it's easily. I don't think it's the. I still think the first one's the best one. I think like, but this is definitely my favorite, just because I love Thing I recognize. It's hard not to love a movie where it's Thing I recognize. Um,
I mean, getting to have Hugh Jackman's Wolverine with Deadpool kind of makes it hard for me not to
yeah,
love this.
yeah. Like I said at the top, to come back to my ultimate thesis of yeah. I saw someone say if you're looking for a movie where he wears the suit and says the thing, and that's violent and funny, yeah, this is gonna be. It's a fun time. It's a fun time, but also
And
he also.
that's not even talking about the fact that Deadpool's costume looks phenomenal
Oh
in
yeah,
this one
yeah.
too.
Oh yeah. Oh, they got. Yeah, I think I already said this, but yeah, they got the Deadpool characters for literally one day. Like it's in one location. They're in one house. It was probably an afternoon. Like like a 12-hour shoot day, like at best. And that's all they do in this movie. So if you like the characters from the previous movies, don't expect to see them too much. But it is fun like to have Hugh Jackman be able to like actually interact with Vanessa, just because of it's kind of a fun payoff to the joke from the first movie where he got the magazine stapled to his face. But no, I did. The other point that this person made though was like, don't ever do this again. Like, this is the kind of thing that it works once. If you do it again, it'll be tired. Like, this is gonna probably make a bunch of money, but like, don't learn the wrong lesson from this. Don't do this again. And I said the same thing after Captain America and after the last Thor, and I will say the same thing here. Don't make another Deadpool movie. Don't make Deadpool 4. Don't do it. Have Deadpool.
Well, I mean, okay. Here's the thing. I don't necessarily. I don't necessarily agree with that. I think don't do another multiverse. Don't do another, like, don't bring back Wolverine. Don't do anything big like that again. But like, if you bring it back to like a Deadpool 1 where it's a small insular, much like how we say with Spider-Man, where you bring him back down to being a street level thing, like a smaller level thing.
Maybe.
I think you could do another Deadpool
But no,
movie.
like
but
Deadpool.
No, don't continue to escalate. The only way you can continue to escalate it and make it a big thing again is if you do Deadpool kills the MCU.
Right.
That's the one thing I think you can get away with.
Deadpool should, just like Thor, Deadpool is now a secondary character, should now be a secondary character in other people's movies. From like now to like forever. Deadpool should just be like, yeah, like Deadpool, like this was Deadpool and Wolverine. Like, I saw someone say the next one should be Deadpool and Spider-Man. And I completely agree with that. Like, he should be the secondary character in other people's movies. Because, like, yeah, what else do you do with this character? Other than have him show up and be like, that's a joke.
Then you mean Spider-Man and Deadpool.
I mean, yeah, sure. But yes. Have it where, yeah, Deadpool shows up and, like, fucks with Spider-Man's day. Like, that would be fun. That would be a fun movie. I would absolutely be down for that.
I mean, if we were gonna do that, then I could see and this would be you could then make a funny reference, especially if it is Ryan Reynolds' version of Deadpool. If you have it Spider-Man and the new version of Johnny Storm versus Deadpool in some capacity, and then Deadpool can be like, I miss when you were the other guy.
I mean, I'm just saying though, now that I'm thinking about this, like, I think Marvel like full out owns Deadpool now. Like, no deal. Like, they can do whatever they want with him. So like, yeah.
The Spider-Man movies, they do. They bought Fox.
The Spider-Man movies need to have a Marvel character. So like, yeah, Spider-Man versus Deadpool, they could do that for Spider-Man 4. It's a potential idea that they could do.
Yeah, they could.
And you could, and yeah, you absolutely could have it where, yeah, you can bring Deadpool down to a ground level and have it work. Yeah. Spider-Man, yeah, that's the perfect place to
and you want to give this Spider-Man the symbiote. You have it where it attaches to Deadpool first, goes crazy because it's connected to the Sony version of Venom, so it can't be crazy because it's fairly sane. But it bonds with Deadpool, and that's what makes this version go crazy. And then it can go on to this version of Spider-Man to go into the next movie and do a Venom thing.
All right. Jordan, real quick, Jordan, this episode is going to be very long. We're already at 2.5 hours, and we haven't even gotten to the X-Men movies. Thank God I don't have much to say about a bunch of them. Final thoughts on Deadpool and Wolverine, Jordan.
Go watch it.
Yeah, you should. Everyone should go watch it because I really would like. I really do want Deadpool to stay around. I like him. Oh yeah, we didn't even talk about Deadpool at Disneyland. Man, that's bizarre. We don't have time. There's no time. We have to talk about the X-Men movies. This is already going to be a 3-hour podcast.
It's cute that you think it's only going to be 3 hours.
This is probably going to be a 4-hour podcast. It's the season finale. We're taking a week off. We have to cram 2 podcasts.
This is going to be the longest episode of our adventure yet.
Maybe. Hopefully not. So, because it's the season finale, we're done. That's it. That's Deadpool.
Oh hey, yeah, it's Justin from the future again. Yeah, that was a very long video where we talked about Deadpool and Wolverine, wasn't it? If you're like, man, this sure seems like it's the second part of a conversation, that's because it was. And if you want to hear us talk about the first 2 Deadpool movies as well as maybe some other Deadpool stuff, you can click the box on the left and that'll take you to that. And if you want to see the full epic Season 2 finale, it was 3.5 hours long, you can check that out on the right as well. And also you can subscribe, and we'll have a good one, everyone.